So, I have had some feedback from my last video. It was constructive criticism. It's not in any way malicious, but there are a few points raised that I thought I would like to address. First of all, I will be carrying on with this series about this Scholar of the Second Sin mod, but we'll get to that later. So the first point I had was perhaps a little side-by-side comparison would have helped, and that's an interjection, linger on the pretty bits more. Now, first of all, this is a question in two parts. A side-by-side comparison would help. Now, this is a mod for Dark Souls 2. Okay, this is a game that came out in 2014. It uses a mod, the DS2 lighting engine, as its basis, and then on top of that, like some kind of layer cake, the Scholar of the Second Sin mod is also on top of that. Now, if you are playing Dark Souls 2 for the first time, I would recommend you play it as intended. This is a little bit, complicated, because Dark Souls 2 is, of course, a game that got remade, kind of, because you had Dark Souls 2 and then Scholar of the First Sin come out. So, I would recommend playing Scholar of the First Sin. And then, if you're interested in the game, if you like the game, then add the mods. So really, someone saying to me, a side-by-side comparison, it sounds like the kind of person who has not played the game, who has not watched the film, who has not read the book, but for some obscure reason, they have decided that they don't understand this new one. If you had at all played Dark Souls 2, you would know what the original had looked like. You wouldn't need a side-by-side comparison. And installing a mod upon a mod upon a remaster seems... it's redundant for me to compare the two. So I'm not going to do that. And the second part of that question was, linger on the pretty bits more. I'm not sure what that means. The pretty bits, there are a lot of. I did show off the sunset in Medulla, and then Hades Tower of Flame, because they have sunsets, and they have lush vegetation. I don't know what. I mean, I guess that's a subjective question. What is a pretty bit? You might be really into brutalism or minimalism, or I don't know, piles of corpses and coffins if you've played Bloodborne. I think the whole game is attractive. And I don't really know how I would preempt what someone would call a pretty bit. There aren't really any floral English gardens in this game, or cottages, or rolling dales. Well, actually, maybe Forest of Fallen Giants does have a bubbling brook. I was going to say there aren't any, but yeah. So the pretty bits. So this leads on to the second criticism, which is kind of an extension of the first. That middle bit, not sure what that means, looked really gorgeous. Pillar Tower, Old Night Zone, or whatever it's... I think this is a reference to Hades Tower of Flame. And you sort of darted through it talking about Old Night. Well, yes, because that area is quite short. It's full of... initially, the enemies are high level. As you level up, they're less of a challenge. The footage I'm actually recording from at the moment is me just trying to get to the old Dragon Rider. So yeah, I appreciate the area, but it's one area, and it's a built-up area, and it's also outdoors. So I think if you have a problem with old knights, you're going to dislike Dark Souls 2 in general. Every other boss is an old knight. That's kind of the lore of the game. Again, I don't mean to nitpick, but this leads me on to the third point, which is we got lingering shots of menus and tiny bonfire rooms or wall textures. Okay, the whole point of this mod, which I established in the first video, is that this mod, first of all, updates the textures, right? I specifically said it updates the textures. It upscales them. So yes, I was looking at the textures, because if I was reviewing a sandwich and I didn't look at the bread and the filling in the sandwich, I don't feel that would be a very good review. If I was reviewing a car and I never saw the car, again, I don't feel that would be a very good review. So I did look at the wall textures. I did look at the tiny bonfire rooms, because that is where the dynamic lighting comes into play, and I will be putting up various patronising imagery from the mod developer to reinforce this. Lingering shots of menus. Now I don't really know how to react to that. Yes, it's not exactly the most interesting thing to watch, but it was gameplay footage. Okay, this was not edited very heavily. It was basically as you saw me play it. So I know it's a sin, but I have to go into the menu sometimes, because Dark Souls, as with other video games, relies on you using the menu to access your weapons, ancillary items, etc. Were there a way I could access the menu, I don't know, perhaps psychically, off screen, perhaps I could employ someone to access menu items for me, I would have done that. But unfortunately, I'm using a version of the game where I have to press the start button, or whatever your equivalent is, access the menu. So yeah, so to reiterate, the side-by-side comparison, go and play Dark Souls 2. I did. I finished it. I finished all the DLCs. Person who's making this comment, did you finish the game? Did you finish all the DLCs? I'm not going to say I know this person in real life and they've been my friend for years, and I also attended their wedding, but I know they haven't. And so, yeah, before you judge me, why don't you judge the game yourself, okay? The middle bit, first of all, that's not the middle bit. I think I'm in the middle bit of the video. If Hades Terror of Flame is your definition of the middle bit, my friend, you've got a long way to go. And I do apologise for looking at the textures and the lighting in a texture and lighting mod. I cannot reiterate that enough. I was playing a mod for Dark Souls 1 that it reorganised the items and the enemy placement, and in that I sort of looked at the enemy placement and the item positions. I know that sounds like a weird thing to do, but that's just how I make videos. So I hope my friend slash anonymous commenter can get over these discrepancies, but I will endeavour to do better the next time. And on that note, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the video.